Hello. Um, so this is the final video about my trip that I took in the beginning of December of 2022 to Central America. Um, and what this is this video I made while on the ship. Um, and I thought it was going to be part of Vlogmas, but I also thought it was pretty negative. Um, not I just didn't think it was a good vibe for Vlogmas because I thought the, it's a pretty apt description of what it's like to travel. It was made at my like worst point when I was most freaking out with my I mean I wasn't really freaking out, it was more like extremely anxious due to the avoidant personality disorder and especially because of how I traveled, which was I went on a cruise and it's like having a small community. It's like a small village. Um, so, yeah, it's the same people stuck together, living in very close proximity, doing the same activities, eating in the same places. Um, that's gonna get you. And especially because everybody was super friendly. So, nightmare. You couldn't really avoid anything. And actually, as I was thinking about it afterward, it did get worse as the cruise went on, and I was thinking it was because people were getting used to, um, like, I was sort of marked. I kept saying that in the video. I watched it through. That's another reason why I want to hold off on. I hate watching myself on video. I don't like to rewatch them. I like to record them and put them up, and that's it. Done. Um, but I did keep saying that I felt like I was marked. But the other thing is I kept wondering where people were, because it's the same thing. You sort of like people kind of stand out. Um, and there were just fewer and fewer people. And then I realized, um, one, injuries, because the ship was moving a lot. I never got used to it. I never got used to it. I was always nervous about walking down hallways and everything else. Um, and a lot of other people didn't either. And there were relatively, by my standard, I mean, I don't know, maybe on every cruise there's, a couple dozen people who get very injured as far as like broken bones and stitches and things due to falls. Maybe that's normal. I don't know. It seemed like it was a crazy amount to me. Um, but it's not my thing. I don't usually do this. So I don't know. I mean, I think that's one of the reasons why they always recommend travel insurance, though. And the other reason is, we are in the middle of a pandemic outbreak, and um, I mean, whatever. The disease is still there. That was the pandemic, um, and it's the reason why this trip kept getting pushed off. I was going to do it in spring of 2020 originally, and I think it was the fourth time that I finally did this. Was because people were getting sick um, on my cruise. Um, didn't need to take a test ahead of time. Um, didn't need to have proof of vaccination, although there were a few countries where you had to have that to get off. Actually, wait a minute. Did I? Okay, they asked to see it so that they could then okay me to be going on to these other, these countries where they had the vaccination, because they had everything was, a card with your thing, so they knew all about it. So if there was any reason why I couldn't go to a certain country for whatever reason, they would have known. That's why. But it wasn't a requirement to be on the ship to have your vaccination done. And we were people from all over the country, all over the world, and going to new countries. People got sick. and when they got sick, they got quarantined and stuck in their rooms. So what started as something like, I think it was like 1,600 people that were guests and about 1,200 crew. Um, it was just much fewer people at the end. I don't know if they got like bored of everything and they went away, but I'm pretty sure that a lot of them were in quarantine. I didn't get sick. That's good. Um, anyway, so I'm going to put the video in here that I actually made on the ship. And again, this is a lot of avoidant stress and anxiety. Sorry about that. But here it is, and I'll be back. Hello. So the update. Today is day 8, I believe, that I've been on the ship. And how am I coping? This ship is about maybe 2/3 full, so there's not even 2,000 people on here. And you see the same people over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. It's gotten to the point where I can't walk from one end of the ship to the other without being stopped 4 times by people just saying hello. I mean, being polite and nice. And I mean, generally that's what works for me when I'm in a different environment. Is I'll say, hello, be nice, smile, all that nifty stuff. But people are like craving their family and connection and friends. I mean, usually there are very few people that came here by themselves. I've been noticed, I've been marked, I've been recognized by both the people, and they're not basically as interested, but definitely the staff have noticed me a lot. I feel judged, I feel monitored. Especially there's this one gentleman who, sorry about my hand, he'll introduce me to his wife and then demand my room number. And I mean, he does this over and over again, and it's gotten to the point where he's like, basically knows where I'm going to be. What have I been doing on this ship? I've been hanging out in my room, in my cabin, which is the most front left cabin. So sleeping, not doing much sleeping because the boat is moving a lot. I'm against a pole, so I can stand here. And also you hear the waves. I just thought I had really noisy neighbors upstairs, but like can hear them pound against the ship. It's really loud. But I don't really hear that much of the mechanics of the ship, so it was better once I found out what it was. I was like, what the heck is going on up there? Anyway, I go on, every time we stop at a location, I'll go on a tour to get off the ship and go. I mean, that's the point of this, is to go to all these different places. So yes, I have hit my 4th continent now. I have been to South America now, and yippee me. It wasn't this big a deal as I thought it might have been. Mostly because I'm starting to get stressed out by the people here, no question about it. Let's see. Bar culture is massive here. I think that's how people cope. I'm starting to slip on the coping. Like, today is the first day that I wore makeup on this ship. I mean, first of all, I was like, ooh, I'm gonna like stab myself in the eye. But it's to the point where I need a mask. This was a little long. It's a week and a half. So I think there's 3 more full days, and then we land. And yeah, and then back to the real world. But what else? Oh, there was a band on the ship. I would record them, except I would definitely get striked by YouTube because they are excellent, and they are cover band, but they're great. And they do like exact copies. So YouTube would have a fit if I tried to post anything that they had recorded, but I basically go see them all the time. And of course there's eating. There's like, I don't know, not enough restaurants, not because there aren't enough restaurants, because again, I mean, the staff, they work for tips, and they're trying to get people, you know, this high level of service so that you'll give them higher tips. And so they remember you, and they're friendly with you, and they, you know, will call out to you when you're going past them, and they see that I'm here by myself, so they try to be even more social with me because they think I must be lonely. So, yeah. I went on that short cruise earlier, and it was kind of great because it was so short that I was not recognized. Well, except for the one guy, because I tipped on the first day and learned, you know, don't give your big tips on the first day, because he like followed me around as a waiter. He would be like, "Oh, here's your drinks. Here's your drinks. What do you drink? I'll get it for you." I was like, "Thank you. You do not need to do that." And yeah. So, in a nutshell, it's gotten stressful. Maybe if it was one of these super gigantic, massive ships with, I mean, there's thousands and thousands of people on them, but they'd be way more crowded. I mean, look at this. It's 7 o'clock at night. There's nobody around. So if I can find a place to exist where there's no people, it's great. But again, I guess I'm a creature of habit. I'm already like findable. Maybe I need to take up smoking cigars, hang in the cigar pub, or go play cards, but that's interacting with people. I don't know. Yesterday was the last of a 3-day stand of being in different countries and going on all-day tours, and I was exhausted from that. And then today I was like, ooh, a break. We are not stopping in any countries. And then you know, I mean, there are people in the world who just think they have the right to own other people. And you know, marked me as the target, and decided that I would be flattered by it, and it just won't stop. And it's really making me uncomfortable. Basically because it's repeated and hunts me down, and I'm like sitting somewhere and it'll just like pop over next to me and just like demand my attention. And that is pretty much impossible for me not to, you know, it's an avoidant thing. You've got to do what people tell you, and you have to people please all the time. Well, guess what? This guy is not going to get what he claims to want, although there's a big part of me that thinks that it's just a matter of, can he control me into getting what he wants out of me, so that it's like an ego trip. I really think that's what it is. But when I'm told from some guy with a big smile on his face I know you're going to be at this place at some point later tonight, and I will see you there. And it's like, not like setting something up, but more like, I'm going to ambush you. And then I'm going to demand your time. It's pretty gross. And I cannot get away from this person. You know, this boat is only so big. It is, you know, if I'm in any public area, which is basically everywhere, except my cabin, which I have to leave. Well, one, because, well, I could get room service, but I have to leave because we have people that come in and clean the rooms twice a day. And I mean, it's a security issue too. They need to make sure that everything's kosher. So I have to leave. And at that point, at any point, this person could sneak up behind me, plop right down next to me. So I'm hoping that that is going to pass soon. And this Mr. Man, I mean, I'm sure he's going to find somebody else. But seriously inappropriate. And then this is what his MO is. He'll be like, seriously inappropriate. And then the next time he sees me, he's like, I've got to apologize for how I was acting. You know, I was drinking so much. And then 5 minutes later, it's more of this crap again. And I'm like, and it's not like, I don't know. The only thing I could possibly do is walk away, but then he would like chase me down. I don't know. It's annoying. It's really annoying. You know, but then again, that's like the worst of it, but there are also people that are really nice. They're like, oh, we want you, like somebody was like, tonight, 10 o'clock, you're going to be at this place, right? Because we're going to be there and we want you to be there. And I'm like, probably. It's okay. It's only 4 more days and then I'll be home and cope with whatever's going on there. My son is taking care of my place because he's taking care of the cat. See if he has destroyed the place and or gotten me evicted. Anyway, I mean, so clearly my anxiety level right now is a little high. Even though, look at this. I don't know if you can see the line of the ocean. Some of the clouds might be too bright where the lights are. But come on. So going on vacation, I think I like the way I normally do it, which is totally go on my own, you know, plan everything, pack and unpack at each place. I mean, this was super convenient to not have to, I mean, it's 6 countries that I'm going to not have to worry about the travel, because like I can do everything. I sleep on the boat, I can eat on the boat, you know, that's very time sort of helpful. I don't have to pack and unpack. I don't have to, you know, and the other thing, of course, is everything's paid in advance, so I don't have to worry about anything like that. Very convenient, but there's people, and you have to deal with people, and again, by just existing, and smiling and being nice, there's just gonna be somebody who either truly misinterprets it or willfully misinterprets it as more than just friendly. And then That's what I'm dealing with. 4 more days and it'll be over. Um, should I post this as Vlogmas? This is like a bummer. Maybe I'll just stick to the videos of like the monkeys in the trees and stuff like that. Post this after Christmas. Bye. Okay, hi again. So if you watch that whole thing, you did see me sort of freaking out and basically going over the worst of, as an avoidant person. I don't know. I mean, these are the things that I went through. People probably love it. If they don't have a personality disorder. If they're average and normal. Excuse those terms. But seriously, in retrospect, first of all, it was an awesome trip. It really was. It was great. And actually what I'm going through right now is a little bit of, okay, I'm a low period. We'll call it a low period. Because, I mean, it's a bad season for a lot of people with the holidays. That's why I didn't want to put that video up in the middle of Vlogmas because, as far as I am concerned, some of the things I do in Vlogmas are probably like really actually interesting in a non-Vlogmas way, and the other one is more like I'm like trying to put up a distraction, so that people don't have to cope with the expectations and how they're failing to meet the expectations. And first of all, it's all bull, but whatever. Actually, I was following this person on Vlogmas who was like, I'm going to do a great Vlogmas. I'm going to do something different every day. And I actually had videos that were different every day. Thank you very much. But this person, I don't know, it was kind of annoying. It was kind of annoying just because of how they reacted to it. They literally had a whole bunch of these high-end adult advent calendars, which I don't get in the first place, and opened like 10 of them a day, and that was it. And then also on other days didn't post, but said I did Vlogmas because I recorded something every day, and I'm like, this what you're moving the goalposts. What the hell? That's stupid. Anyway, off topic completely. But I am sort of like all over myself because I think the Vlogmas I did was, some of it was really lame. But I tried. Yeah. So right now I'm kind of in a funk because one, just went through Christmas. Two, I'm financially under the gun, of course. I mean, you don't work for 2 months or 2 weeks of the month, then you're gonna, your budget's gonna be blown. I also came back 2 days after I came back. I bought a new car, well, a new used car. I don't ever buy new cars, but yeah. So there was a financial hit there, and then 2 days after that, I had dental surgery. Great. So and then it was Christmas. And then my son's cat got sick, and yeah, this has been a month. It's been a year. It's been a bad year. Anyway, but the thing that really shocked me, and I was not prepared for, was when I came back, considering how freaked out I was to be, quote, monitored, to have people watching what was going on and paying attention to me and saying hello and all this. I mean, I don't like that. I like being anonymous. That's why I travel, because then I can, whatever I do, and I do some stupid things. If you watch this whole Vlogmas, you know I've done some stupid things. I just don't ever want anybody to I mean, okay, so for example, different story, but once I went to New York. I actually flew down specifically to go to the Met Museum. I mean, this is crazy. I basically needed a break. I needed a break. Um, I flew down, went to the Met, went and hung out in Central Park for an hour or two, got back on a plane and came back in one day, which is crazy. But I mean, it was also like, I mean, if I was going to drive to Boston, it would have taken longer to drive to Boston than it did to fly to New York and probably end up costing about the same amount with gas and tolls and parking and all that crap. So, anyway, but when I was actually in the museum, I kept like losing track of where I was going. It's a humongous museum. And this one guard, I don't know, I mean, that's their job is to see if somebody's going to be weird, kept like noticing me and everything else. And it killed it. I had to leave the museum because I'm like, there's this guard that's watching me going back and forth because I was trying to get to a certain area in the museum and I just kept getting going in the wrong direction. And it's like, I probably could have spent more hours. I went there to go to the museum. I could have spent hours and hours and hours more. It's a huge museum. Didn't do it because the guard noticed me. This is my reaction normally if I'm traveling and I'm in a place where that sort of pressure happens, rather than like let the avoidance get to me and I don't want to ruin the experience by having this avoidance tension and anxiety build. So I just leave. Well, you can't do that on a boat. Um, but then when I came back, and my life is pretty small right now. Um, I mean, I have work, which is, actually that was stress when I first came back. All my coworkers like, "Oh, tell me the stories, tell me." And I was like, "Oh my god, I'm not gonna talk, 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 talk." In addition to my work, which is interacting with people, um, but the actual social interaction is incredibly small. We're talking like maybe 3 sentences with each person. Um, and it's, so maybe, well, my goal is 18 clients a day. And I usually go above that actually. But I mean, still, I mean, that's not, and it's the same stupid thing. How you doing? You ready for this? Let's go. That sort of thing. Um, and, is there anything else I can do for you? That sort of crap. I mean, it's work. It's not a social interaction. So, and as far as like in real life, like, I don't have friends in the area. I probably could if I wanted. I have a massive number of family that I have nothing to do with. I I got one Christmas card from an aunt this year. Um, and other than that, I don't believe I've had any interaction with any, well, other than my sister, which, different matter. I don't think I've had any interaction with any of my family that lives in this area anyway, since the funeral for my parents or whatever, their burial, whatever, or auntie funeral. Um, so there's a ton of family around, but I don't interact with them. There's my son. My interaction with my son is he needs something. Mom means made of money. Bank of mom. um, he needs something from me. That's the only time he calls me. And especially in the winter, he's like, Mom, drive in here. He lives like 35 minutes away. Drive in here. I need to go a quarter mile away to this grocery store to buy this one thing that I don't actually need, but I want. And he wants me to be like his cab. And he doesn't talk to me, and he gets obnoxious, and he treats me like a servant usually. So he doesn't, you know, he's very complicated. Um, when I came back off that cruise after having all these super friends, I mean, I actually I think said something as we were leaving the ship. It's like, it's going to be weird to go into an airport and not be like, hi, hi, hi to everybody that's walking past you. Because that's how you are on a cruise. You're just like, hi, 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 hi. You don't know this person, but everybody's super friendly. So you just say, yeah, and it was weird. And it was really weird being home. It was really hard being home and not having any interaction. I'm crazy here. Any interaction with anybody. That was a big surprise to me. I mean, I was in shock. I was like, I'm going to go home and I'm going to be like in the cave and I'm not going to interact with anybody and it's going to be so great. And, and I missed it so bad. And I feel like that's a failure as a person. I mean, it's like my identity has been forever that I'm independent. So I'm like, what is wrong with me? And then, oh, well, I could interact with people and I could, go get friends and people and, you know, because I am capable of being a friendly person in the initial, like literally, you know, beyond superficial, not even acquaintance level. I can do that fine. And I got a million stories, man. I travel all over the place. I could talk somebody's ear off for 100 years. As y'all know, if you've been watching these videos. Um, that was weird. That was so strange. Um, but I missed it a lot. So, I don't know. Um, I think what I was freaking out in yes, there were a couple of situations that were not cool. And again, like especially this wonderful smarmy guy who apparently lives approximately 20 miles from me. Only person. No, there was another person I heard of, but this is the only person I actually talked to that was from my state. And there was another person that's, oh, dude, where are you from? One other person, a couple from Connecticut. Wouldn't you know it? Anyway, that was not really cool. I mean, there were other things that were absolutely, I don't know. Okay, so I'm going to tell you. I thought this was pretty funny. Um, Again, you get coffee at restaurants, but if you want anything at all other than coffee, and like I drink Diet Pepsi, which they don't have in the ship. They had Diet Coke. It was a crisis. Anyway, I drink it all the time. So like getting iced tea, getting anything like that, you have to go to the bar, right? So I was in the bars all the time. And one night I'm like, okay, I'm gonna like get a real drink. And I went up to this bartender that I was there constantly, like I don't know, constantly, but like to get a soda or whatever. Um, so again they recognize you. Anyway, I thought this was. I was like, yeah, primo. Probably said this to 60,000 people at least. But I was like, gonna get like a little frou-frou drink. I got a sex on the beach. And the guy goes, you should have sex on the boat. And I thought that was pretty good. For a bartender. But that was it. Nothing else. No follow-up. I'm like, yes. No follow-up. That's what I want. No follow-up. I mean, there were a couple creepy instances where, like the monitoring thing It is a fact that you had this card. You had to carry it with you all the time, and they knew everything about you. They knew where you were on the ship. They knew what you were doing at all times. They monitored it. They had cameras everywhere. A lot of that was to catch the crew to see if the crew was going to do something wrong. But I mean, ugh. Um, and so I kept sort of like ignoring that. um, trying as hard as I could to ignore that. Um, and forget about it. But every once in a while it would come out like point blank. And it was creepy and I didn't like that. Um, I don't know. Um, but in retrospect, for a short while anyway, it was a nice taste of what it's like to have people in your life. And I don't know. Um, I mean, that's the way it is with everything when you have avoidant personality disorder. It's like it's good and bad always, always. Cat, cat looks like he's going to attack the camera, so Charlie, shut up. Um, but it is everything is sort of like, there is no middle ground. Everything has the good and the bad with it. Usually, I go on these super whirlwind trips because it's so fast and there's so much to do that I don't have time. Seriously, the cat's gonna knock off the camera. Oh, he's going away. I don't have time to let the avoidant get to me. I don't have time for the anxiety to sit in. It's when I'm sort of being quiet and reflective that the avoidance gets to me, when I can stop and think about it. But if I'm going so fast, I don't think about it, and so it doesn't bother me as much, especially if I don't feel like it's going to come back and I'm going to be judged later. Um, right now I have no trips planned because again, I had sort of like a financial pit this month. um, that happens. That happens. You empty out the coffers and then you got to fill them back up again. And I am in the fill stage. Actually, I found another thing I was looking at. And my boss, who is not wanting me to leave, it's like really like you really you need to stay. Um, I was like, well, you can't afford it. I was like, it's true. I can't afford it right now. Um, anyway, so yeah, so I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. It's a double-edged sword. It's a good and a bad, and you get used to things. Things change. You get used to them quicker than you think you do, and you cope with things better than you think you will, and you don't notice a change. In 100 years, I wouldn't have thought, oh God, I'm going to come back and think, miss having people that I can say hello to. Give me a break. Give me a break. That being in the safety of my house, where right now I'm still, out of the house to work. Other than that, I, would stay in the house all the time. Yay, I get to be in my house. Maybe even like 14 hours of the day I can be in my house. Yay. And I don't have to go anywhere. Now it's like I'm sort of stuck here. And it's kind of depressing. Like I'm trying to think of how to break out of that. I might I might start going back to the gym. Definitely not this week and not next week. Oh my god. Um just to be around people. That's bizarre. Um, I mean, that's weird. Who would have thought? Who would have thought that in 2 weeks I could have been reset that much? Although I've seen it in the past. I've seen it with my kid. I used to take him to Disney, even though it was like a child who hasn't been through therapy with autism. Oh my God. Um, I did it the first time because I was like, everybody takes their kid to Disney, and I'm not going to discriminate against my own kid. But then I realized that because it was such a huge change, everything was different. Food was different. The place he stayed was different. The things he was seeing was different. Everything was different. He would be more flexible, and then he would be open to therapy. And so we actually would time it. If they were going to try some new therapy with him, we would go on a trip beforehand. So he'd be more willing and open to the change and be able to do the therapy. I think the same thing happened when I went on this cruise. Like something reset. So my big recommendation would be, if say you're going to start college or something like that, go on an extended cruise beforehand. And maybe you'll be open to the new experience of having to interact with people. I don't know. It's weird. I expect to be back to normal soon. Because how long has it been? I got back on the 10th. And today's almost the 30th. So it's been almost 3 weeks. And I'm mostly back to normal. I'm still like, it feels like I'm missing something, and it's not the travel, it's being around these people and having this instant community, because that's what it is. You have to be friendly with people immediately, because you're gonna be stuck with them and there's nobody else. So everybody is super receptive and into each other, and trying to find out anything, because they just miss having their people at home, so they've got to make new friends. It's wild. And everybody the last day, they were like, get me your Facebook, get me your this. And I was like, oh, what are you talking about? They're like, you're my new best friend. I talk to you every day. I need to keep talking to you. I'm like, what? I'm going home to my real life. Hello? It was weird. Anyway, I guess that's all there is. Let me know if you have any questions, if anybody possibly got to the end of this crazy. This is probably going to be like a 45-minute video. Sorry about that. Yeah, let me know if you have any specific questions about it. Because it's bizarre. It's one of these things where I've experienced it and I'm going through it, but I don't really know how to articulate exactly what's going on. If I had questions about anything in particular, I might be able to like tease that part out if you were interested. And if you're not, I completely get it. But again, I didn't want to have that avoidant freak out there, without sort of explaining what was going on, and that it didn't last, and that it was very specific and was definitely the worst of it. But if you see the best fit and see all these travel things that I put up, you see the best part of travel, and rather than give you the false idea that it's always hunky-dory and wonderful and beautiful and anybody can do it. I mean, I'm clearly like on the extroverted side of being avoidant, at least when I'm not around the same people. And even I really do have these freakouts.